Well, hey everybody. Welcome to the Rustafied update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, what do we got going on this week? Well, we are 1 week away from the update and forced wipe. And for anyone wondering, hey, it's been 4 weeks since the last forced wipe. Isn't forced wipe today? Well, no, it is in fact not, because Force Wipe only happens on the first Thursday of every month. And some Thursdays, we actually have 5 Thursdays in the month, and this month was one of those months. So if you are wondering about wipes, real quick, the bi weekly servers are wiping again today for Rustafied, and they will only have a 1 week wipe cycle until the update and force wipe next week. But yeah, next week is actually exactly an hour, 1 week and 1 hour away is when the update and forced wipe will hit. And we, as usual, are over here on the staging branch to show off what is going on in Rust development and what you can expect in the wipe. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do at @misty_, that's me, in chat, and we'll get to as many questions as we have the opportunity to. As I mentioned, it is the bi-weekly servers wiping, but also the weekly Thursday wipe servers wiping today at their regular scheduled time. And that is 3 p.m. local time for each region. So that means AU and SEA wiped like 11, 12 hours ago. EU wiped 3 hours ago. And the US weekly and bi weekly Thursday wipe servers will wipe in 2 hours at 3 p.m. EST. And these are map wipes only because we are at the end of the month. But a lot of servers will wipe blueprints when the update hits next week, although Rustified does have a number of servers that don't wipe blueprints monthly anymore, like our medium 3s and our minis and the like. So for all information on Rustified server wipes, by the way, I do recommend you check out our Discord, rustified.com/Discord. And we have a server information channel in there that gives you all the specifics on blueprint wipes and map wipe times and all that good stuff. And before we get into it over here on the staging branch, I do want to announce a new collab that FacePunch is doing. And they're doing it with Wallpapers, a boot company. And so they did announce that, and it is available for pre-order now, that you can actually order your own real-life frog boots if you are so inclined. And along with getting the real-life frog boots, you also will get this really funky kind of in-game frog boot helmet to match. It wiggles around and stuff like that. It's an interesting vibe for sure. And it's one of those collabs. We've seen these in the past with, what was it? Oh man, what was the name of that other company?
You had Secret Lab with the chairs.
Yeah. And then the Tunes
Yeah,
something?
U2s as well, yeah.
U2s, yeah. So this is like the third or maybe fourth collab we've seen with companies with real life products and Rust and FacePunch and everything. So it's cool to see. And you can find a link over on rustified.com if you're interested, or just go to, it's like wellypets.com/wellypetsxrust. But yeah, you can put your pre-order in now and you'll get your boots. It looks like shipment will start end of this year. And the price point is $200 from the looks of it, something like that. And yeah, you can get sizes in men's and women. So that is the FacePunch collab going on with Welly Pets. Now, getting into the staging branch and specifically what we've got going on for the update next week, we are seeing a bunch of changes. Well, not a bunch, but some changes to wallpapers this week. You can see we've put up a number of the different wallpapers that are currently available on staging. And what they've been doing this week is basically just tweaking some of the wallpaper types. They've been modifying the protection values and the damage values of wallpaper. If you're not familiar, wallpaper is purely aesthetic and it can only go on the inside, the soft side of walls. It's 20 cloth to craft and it is a default blueprint. And what we're seeing is it looks like there'll be a couple of potentially default skins like a green, a blue, a yellow, a red maybe. And then it does look like, based on commits and things like that, that there will be a wallpaper DLC pack going live, likely with the update. And that will include some of these more unique, interesting textures like the squiggly, orange and the wainscoting and the subway tiles and the clouds and the like. So they've got a number of different wallpaper types available. We did, if you tuned in last week or the week before when we first showed off wallpapers, there were two glowing wallpapers that this week have been removed. So it's not clear if the glowing wallpapers were just taken out and will stay out or if we will see them at some point in the future. But basically, the wallpaper is pretty easy to craft. 20 cloth, default blueprint. You slap it on a soft side of a wall, and then you can either select the skin you want as you're crafting, or you can use a spray can and the change the texture afterwards. And they did, if you're the kind of person to test on staging, they did add some admin commands this week where you can like add a wallpaper. So if you put up a bunch of just any wallpapers, then you can change them all to a specific skin type or randomize the skin type with -1. So that's add underscore wallpaper underscore radius. And then you say the skin type and the radius at which you want to add those wallpapers out. I think that's a number in meters and stuff like that. And then you can clear those things as well. Those admin commands specifically are on my article this week on rustafied.com towards the top. But yeah, nevertheless, it looks like wallpapers are going to be making their entry into the game next week and really allow for a lot more options for interior base decoration and really shift in the vibes of how the inside of your base looks and feels. So that's pretty cool. And keep in mind with all this stuff, it is subject to change. Nothing's finalized until the update goes live. And even then, things can sometimes change after that. So take everything with a grain of salt. But based on what we're seeing, it does look like there'll be maybe a couple available by default, and then probably a wallpaper DLC going live with the update next week. Now, also this week, we're seeing some changes to dynamic vendor pricing. And this, I do believe, is going to make its way into the game for next week. And this is just kind of switching up some of that dynamic vendor pricing that we saw enter the other month in the game. And specifically, what we're seeing is the default NBC vending machine price update frequency has changed from 5 hours to 3. So it's just going to update a little more often. And then they even added two other convars, which basically will relate to the wipe cycle tags on the server. So if it's a bi-weekly server, then that update frequency will be 2 hours. And if it's a weekly wipe server, then it'll update even more often every hour. And so, yeah, the idea is if it's a monthly wipe server, then it'll update every 3 hours. Bi-weekly will be 2 hours and weekly will be 1 hour. And this should have the prices just be a little more dynamic and update a little more often, and also variable based on the wipe schedule of the server itself. Now, also next week, we have coming in the digital clock. We've seen just a couple tweaks and little minor things with the digital clock this week, but nothing really game changing with this new item. Basically, if you missed it, the digital clock is a clock that is just that digital. So it's outputting the server time in HHMM format. And on top of just outputting the server time, it also has the ability to add up to 5 alarms. And so it also has a power pass through. So when an alarm goes off, you can have it trigger the power of another electrical item in game. So it's 100 metal frags to craft. It's not default blueprint. It is a level 2 workbench item. And then you can actually use it to, I mean, you could turn on the lights in your base when night hits, when sun sets. You could, turn on your electric furnaces at a certain time. You can have it just play a boombox to, you know, have some wake up music to know when the sun rises, things like that. So it's a pretty easy to get device with a lot of dynamicism and different functionality that you can use to improve your quality of life around your base. Now, also this week, we're seeing a bunch of work on the world update body of work. And so the world update is something that isn't coming in September, but looks like it is pretty slated for an October update. And with that, it really is just a huge, huge, huge change to procedural map generation. The biggest change we've seen in years to the maps around Rust. If you missed the news earlier this month, basically they're adding cliffs and canyons and oases, and the oases have like lakes and stuff like that. And they've also, in the past week, and some have been working on rivers. So there's going to be a river system where you can hop on a boogie board or a kayak and go travel down the river quicker with utilizing the current of the river. And we're also seeing work on water wells, which looks like it's going to be a food stash kind of new point of interest on the map with an NPC vendor to purchase different things from them. And this week we continue to see various just tweaks and improvements to the overall layout of the maps. There's on top of that, there's the new Radtown Redux monument coming with the world update. They're doing improvements to clouds and to sunsets and to weather effects. There's also going to be a lot more going on in the water. So, water related activities are going to include some new dive sites with some new loot opportunities with sharks spawning near them. And there's going to be ocean wreck buoys and stuff. I'm not sure if those are going to be the kind of indicator for where a dive site is, but there's, needless to say, going to be a whole bunch of new activities and things to do and points of interest in the water, along with all these changes to the topology and everything. There's also a bunch of new foliage being worked on with it. And there's even the functionality of radioactive water being added into the mix. And kind of what we're seeing with the radioactive water is there'll be certain water sources at like barrels and probably at Radtown Redux and things like that, where you can pick up radioactive water. And if it goes into the same receptacle or container as fresh water or salt water, it'll actually contaminate that water and add rads to the water. And then that radioactive water will, of course, if you get exposed to it, give you radiation. And if you get splashed with it, it'll do the same. And if you spray it on plants, it looks like it will kill the, plant life and stuff like that. So a whole new dynamic coming along with this world update stuff that involves the introduction of radioactive water. Now, all of this stuff, there's not many visuals on it yet. There was like one image of an oasis posted, and it's kind of just like a lake in the desert biome. But overall, this stuff is existing on the aux 2 branch and is unavailable for testing at the moment. And so, no real slew of visuals or anything yet. But based on all the commits and what we're seeing, we do know this is really going to be the biggest change to procedural map generation and just maps in general that we've seen in the game in years. Now, once again, that's not coming for the September 5th update next week, but it does look like the team is working very diligently to get that in for the October update. Now, also, what looks like is being worked into that world update body of work in the October update as well is progress on the DPV vehicle. or which is, well, and I did that thing where you do ATM machine. Um, it's the diver propulsion vehicle, aka the DPV. And that's that single person vehicle that runs on fuel, and you kind of hold in front of you and it propels you through the water, and it will propel you on top of the water but also propel you underneath the water. So it'll make for individual diving activities. And even if you get a group of them, you all could, as a group, hop on your own DPV and navigate through the water much quicker and in an easier fashion without requiring like submarines and stuff like that. And what we're seeing this week is some more work on that. Basically what they're doing is just working on the fuel gauge, tweaking that, tweaking the underwater effects and the bubble effects. They're doing some things with buoyancy changes, and they also gave the DPV a little more power because they realized that on larger maps it felt like it was going a little too slow. So it looks like this thing will pretty much zip around pretty nicely. Now, you may recall we saw this on the staging branch briefly like 2 months ago, and it looked like it was going to make its way into that month's update, but it got pulled at the last minute. And I think it got pulled because they just wanted to polish it a little bit more and get it a little more, get the controls a little more dialed in and everything, and get it just more ready to go. And now, with the upcoming world updates change and with all the different things that are being added to the water, I think it does make a lot of sense that we would get this new diver propulsion vehicle added with the world update, body of work going live as well. So that is what it's looking like now. Again, take it with a grain of salt. Nothing is really confirmed yet, but it's all to say October is shaping up to be a really huge update. And now, of course, there's a bunch of other stuff being worked on. As I mentioned, there's more tweaks to the digital clock that's likely going live with the update next week. They're doing some more work on the language support for the Arabic language. There's more work on the Blunderbuster, which I think is going to be a new weapon, but could just be a skin. But I don't know. That's kind of up in the air. I've been thinking it's an entirely new weapon, but then I had the thought maybe it's just a skin, but I think it's an entirely new weapon. But nothing's confirmed with that yet. Nevertheless, they are doing a good amount of work with that. There's a very small chance we could see that go live with the update next week, but given we're not seeing it on the staging branch yet, I think that's a very small chance because, again, we are just 1 week from the update. So normally, like a new item would already be on the staging branch already, like we're seeing with the wallpaper and the digital clock. There's also some more art props being added, like a coat hanger and a fire extinguisher. And we did just last week start seeing like a fire extinguisher branch. So it looks like the fire extinguisher won't only be just maybe a prop that we see around monuments, but it looks like it may actually be a functional, fire suppressant device for your base and the like. So that could be a cool addition, and we're keeping a close eye on that one to see how that progresses. We're also seeing some more work on the Frontier Hazmat DLC. And this is yet another thing that looks like it will probably go live with the world update stuff in October. And this includes not only a hazmat suit that probably matches the vibes of the other Frontier items we've seen in the past, but it looks like it's going to have a new high caliber revolver skin and some Frontier tools. And even this week, we started seeing work on a high wall skin for the Frontier DLC as well. So I would expect that DLC to go live in October with the big world update. And it looks like it's going to have some cool exclusive skins going along with it. We're also seeing some more work on the colorblind options. And it does look like the colorblind options is something that is coming in next week. This was originally a Hack Week project earlier in the month. And it looks like it's been flushed out enough so that they've added it into the escape menu options. And what this is if you are colorblind, you can basically change various colors of different elements around the game. so that you can see them easier. So this includes things like the X's on the tree mini games, and also this week we saw some work being done with regards to the cactuses and hitting those. It also will include, it looks like this week they added color options for the hollow site and what that little reticle looks like. And also things like your team UI, friends, enemies, and all that stuff. So you'll be able to like shift a lot of the various different elements and colors of elements around the map around utilizing this new colorblind accessibility option. They're also doing some more work on Wolf AI improvements. And this is something we've seen, and I'll say it's probably one of the biggest changes to animal AI we've seen in years based on the commits and the amount of work that we've seen be done with it. I don't get the sense this is going live with the update next week, but nevertheless, it does look like a huge change to the behavior of wolves, where they're going to do things like react to torches and fires. They're going to howl. If you sneak up on a wolf and attack it, it will retreat briefly, call its friends over, and then organize an attack. And they'll behave differently if there's a group of people and kind of organize their attacks based on the number of people. It's really an advancement to the overall behavior of wolves that are being worked on. I do get the sense this is the first body of work that will probably include other animals going forward in the future, but it looks like they started on really modifying the wolves, and we'll probably see that go live sometime in fall if I had to guess. There's nothing confirmed from the devs yet, but based on the velocity of commits and work that we're seeing, it does look like they're trying to get that out in the next couple months. And then finally, a little thing, but they continue to do some work on updating the UI of the in game store DLC pages. So it looks like, and I imagine this is probably in conjunction with, I guess we have the Wallpaper DLC likely going live next week, and then we'll have the Frontier Hazmat suit likely going live as a DLC in October. And so to aid in that and to really help display that DLC stuff as best as possible, it looks like they're doing some modifications to what that in-store DLC user experience is going to be. And we continue to see a bit of work on that. But yeah, that about does it for what we've got going on. To summarize, it does look like next week going into the update, we're going to see some wallpapers. We're going to see the digital clock. We're going to see some dynamic price changes. We're going to see, potentially language support for Arabic languages, and likely the colorblind accessibility options as well, along with a bunch of miscellaneous fixes. And they have done earlier in the month some optimizations and improved logging. So I am happy to say that it looks like performance and optimization is also a bit of a priority, more as a background task, less as something that players are necessarily going to notice, but hopefully they do, especially on higher pop servers, because just in the past like 6 weeks, 2 months, I want to say, we did see performance, especially on the server side, take a little bit of a hit. And that's why we haven't been able to raise the population of some of our larger servers as much as we would like to. It's just performance hasn't quite been there like it was earlier in the year. And we, of course, prioritize performance over cramming people into the server, because what's the point of having 1,000 people in the server if the server runs like shit? But nevertheless, we'd love to have as many people in the server as possible. It's just performance needs to be there, and so it does look like there has been some work done on performance in the background this month, and we're not going to know for sure the scope of the impact of that until, frankly, the update goes live next week and we start getting servers filling up and people building and all that stuff. But I do hope and intend that performance is going to see a bit of an improvement when the update hits next week. And so maybe we can increase the population of our servers just a little bit more as well. But yeah, that about does it for what's going on in Rust development this week and what we can expect for the update next week. And Miss D, we got any questions from the audience?
Maybe two, three max, I think, with is it force wipe today?
And no, again, it's not Force Wipe today as we are still in August. And I know it's confusing this month because there are 5 Thursdays in the month. And a lot of times people think, oh, it's the fifth Thursday. So this is when Force Wipe will happen. But in fact, Force Wipe only happens the first Thursday of every month. And so we can expect the update and Force Wipe to happen next week, basically 1 week from today and 1 week and half an hour, give or take, at 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. BST. Or we're on GMT now, right?
Yep.
Yeah, on GMT now. I always get those confused. But yeah, basically 1 week from now on September 5th at normal time is when we will see the forced wipe and the update hit.
Also, I know you just asked or answered about the force wipe, but this guy's asking, is the monthly BP wipe why you're streaming this early?
No, the monthly BP wipes coincide with the forced map wipe. And so the BPs on the servers that do wipe won't wipe until the update and force wipe next week. And again, you can check out our Discord, rustafied.com/Discord, go to server information. And there's even a frequently asked questions thing as well under blueprint wipes that show exactly what servers wipe blueprints every month and which ones don't. But yeah, basically we have a couple servers, the long threes, medium threes, and minis that only wipe blueprints when forced, and that is not very often at all. FacePunch doesn't do that, hasn't done that for about 2+ years now. But then pretty much all of our other servers do have a blueprint wipe when the force map wipe and update hit on the first Thursday of every month.
Do we have a sneak peek on the world changes?
Not yet. Some people are trying to do sneak peeks by loading up an aux2 server, grabbing the map that's generated, and then bringing that into a staging server. But what they're missing there is all the new, assets, all the new art assets that they've added, the water levels, various other things. And so I thought about doing that, but I don't want to misrepresent and specifically underrepresent the hard work that the dev team is doing. So no, we don't have any visuals on the world updates yet. Basically the only thing I've seen that was launched, and I retweeted it. You can check it out on rustified.com, or I'm sorry, on x.com/rustified. I retweeted, there was an official kind of, I throw up the air quotes there, picture of the oases. But a lot of things that you've been seeing are in fact an aux2 map loaded up on normal staging, which again underrepresents and I think misrepresents what the actual beauty of the world update will look like. And so no visuals yet. However, I do think that at this point there's two likely scenarios. One, they'll open up aux2 so that everyone can get on there and check it out. Or what they'll, I think, at this stage in the game more likely do is merge all the world update stuff that's currently on aux2 into normal staging after the update and force wipe next week. So I imagine that in like second week in September, we'll probably, as player base, get full access to testing the world update for a couple weeks. And you better believe when we do that, our streams next month are going to be from the world update branch, showing off all that stuff and categorizing all the changes and tweaks that they're doing with that. And of course, I'm going to do we'll do a video short on it for X and our other social platforms and have a ton of pictures on the articles on rustified.com, as I do a weekly article on rustified.com every Thursday, first thing Eastern time, midnight. It goes live and summarizes what's going on in development in text and pictures. And so as soon as we have access to the actual like proper world update view, then we will inundate you with visuals and information about all of that good stuff.
Thank you, Bugs, and everyone for doing these weekly discussions and passing on the update info. Much appreciated. From Red Jack.
Oh, thank you for the kind words. And I appreciate you all tuning in and happy to be here and giving out info. And also, thank you, Miss D and Artemis, for being my co MCs every week because I couldn't do this without you guys.
You're welcome, Bugs.
Yeah, you're always welcome.
And yeah,
What
I do
is
want to say, oops, sorry. I did just want to take a moment to kind of acknowledge everyone watching and tuning in because, a lot of people tune in and think, oh, are these developers of the game or does FacePunch pay these guys to do this? And the fact of the matter is, no, we are just an independent organization and we are passionate about reporting on development news and running the best servers that we can. And we've been doing this now for about 11 years. And we've grown from one server with 40 people to now we have almost 40 servers with thousands of people. And the only way we've been able to do this over the years and really stream weekly for pretty much a decade now is through the support of the community. So to each and every one of you who tunes in, to people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, and to our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, I want to thank you all so very much for that support because we wouldn't be able to continue to do what we do without that support. So much love to you all and thank you.
are the new rivers/lakes coming in on force?
No, they are coming in for the October update. And so we've got next week, Forced is September 5th. And it looks like we've got like a digital clock and some dynamic pricing changes. And the wallpapers coming in probably with a DLC related to them. But then all the big world update changes and the Frontier Hazmat DLC and various other things look like they're going to be coming for the October update.
Does the monthly wipes today?
Nope. The Force Wipe is not today. It is first Thursday of every month. And so that next first Thursday is next week, 1 week from today on September 5th. And you can expect the update and Force Wipe to happen at normal time, which is right around 2 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. GMT.
And then I want to ask if you want to say something about the stats, the player stats that we are working on.
Yeah, we do have an active development and we're making great progress on a leaderboard and player stats system for our servers. And I know this is kind of, in the grand scheme of things, probably a little late to the game, but we really didn't want to just launch something that just mirrors what everyone else has. We really are working on creating something really special and unique to the space. And so we've got this leaderboard system and the stat system that is in development. We're looking to have the initial launch of it be sometime later this fall. And it will just basically give you so much insight and information into your gameplay on our servers. And also, along with that, have the leaderboards for each server so you can kind of compete with people over different things like, PvP and gathering and raiding and gambling and all that stuff. And I'm really excited about how it's coming along and we are really building it from the ground up. And we'll have more information on that in the near future. And then we are planning on, once we launch the initial version, having updates every month or so to continue to improve on it. And we're going to have special features for our VIP members eventually and everything like that. And so it's really going to be an awesome system. And I appreciate everyone's patience with it. But I'm really excited for it to go live later this year.
I don't see more questions that we have not already answered.
Yep. And for anyone commenting, if I sound a little low energy this week, I kind of am. I'm just coming off some travel. I'm a little jet lagged and just got home yesterday and still getting back into the swing of things. So, pardon me if I am a little low energy this week, but that's just because I am and I don't travel really well. So it takes me a little while to reacclimate, but much love to you all nonetheless.
Oh, I see one here actually. Is the SKS coming in on the force wipe?
No, there's no real news definitively on the SKS. Some word on the street has been that they decided to pull it from the game and it won't make an entry. Other people say maybe it'll be a standalone gun that launches on its own eventually. I haven't heard anything definitively from the devs, but we're not seeing any indication that it's going to be coming for the update next week.
Want to do a little recapity cap?
Yeah, we'll do a little recap here and then wind this puppy down. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do Miss D underscore that's me in chat. But yeah, to go through it again, the update is coming next week. It's not a force swipe today. Force swipe will be September 5th, 1 week from today, and basically 1 week and 25 minutes from now. And we'll, of course, do an update stream next week to give indications of everything coming in the update. But so far, it's looking like we're going to have some wallpapers going live, which are decorations for the interior soft side of your walls. It looks like there'll be some default wallpapers and then probably a wallpaper DLC, like a design DLC, going live with the update next week. There's also a digital clock coming in, which shows the in-game server time and allows you to set alarms with an electronic pass-through, so you can have different electronic devices get triggered when the alarms go off. There's also some dynamic price changes being done. Basically, what they're doing is having the prices update more often. By default, it's going to be 3 hours instead of 5 hours. And then on servers that wipe bi-weekly, it'll be 2 hours, and on weekly wipe servers, it'll be 1 hour. So the idea is if it's a shorter wipe server, the prices will dynamically update just more often. We're also seeing, and I do want to mention again the Welly Pets Frog Boot collab that FacePunch announced earlier this week. They did team up uh, with the company Welly Pets to create actual real life frog boots like the ones in the game. And those are available for pre order now. You can find the link on Rustafied.com or just go to wellypets.com, and I'm sure you can find it through there. And not only do you get the actual real life in game or real life, frog boots, you get an in game item, which is basically a frog boot helmet, and it kind of wiggles around. It's a funky looking thing, and you'll get, access to that exclusive in-game item along with your purchase of the frog boots. The price point is $200, I believe, plus shipping, and it looks like things will ship out starting later this year. And then, as far as other stuff, the biggest news going on really is the October update, which is going to be the world update. And this is the biggest changes to the procedural map generation we've seen in years. There's going to be rivers and lakes and new cliffs and canyons and oases. There's going to be new points of interest like water wells and underwater dive sites and ocean wreck buoys and legacy wood piles. There's going to be radioactive water, which will probably make its first appearance in the new monument also being added, which is the Legacy Rad Town. And that's also included in all this. And it also looks like coming with that is the DPV, which is the Diver Propulsion Vehicle. And that's going to be a single person vehicle, which kind of just propels you through the water, both on top of water and underwater. And that'll go nicely with the new points of interest in the ocean and the dive sites and things like that. So really just it's shaping up that October is going to be a huge update. It looks like the Frontier Hazmat DLC is also going to be going live for the October update. And that's going to include not only a Hazmat skin that matches the vibes of the Frontier stuff we've seen, but it looks like it's going to be a high caliber revolver, some Frontier skinned tools, and even this week we're seeing work on a high wall skin as well for the Frontier stuff. So that's another thing to look forward to in October. In the realm of other stuff being worked on, basically they're doing more work on the Arabic language support, more work on the Blunderbuster, which we believe is going to be a new weapon, could be a new skin, but I think new weapon. There's also next week coming in the colorblind options. So that includes the ability to change different colors for various in-game elements like Team UI, Hollow Sight, and minigame like X's and things like that. They're doing some more work on Wolf AI improvements and also improving the user interface of the in-game stored DLC pages, probably to go well with the likely Wallpaper DLC launching next week and then the Frontier DLC launching in October. And yeah, that's basically what we are seeing as far as what's going on in Rust development this week. And as always, we'll be back next week for the update stream. We'll go live same time and show you everything that you can expect to come in the update and then let you know exactly when the update hits. And you can also follow us on X, Rustafied on X, for news throughout the week. And check out rustafied.com for my article. I'll also have an update summary article going live next Thursday that describes everything coming in the update in text and pictures. And so that is what we've got going on. Misty, any other final questions we want to cover before we wind this puppy down?
Yeah, I saw one. If you can put deployables on top of the wallpaper, like gun racks and stuff, and yes, you can.
Yes, yes, you can.
Tuna can lamps, frames, all that stuff. Yep. I think that's it.
Okay, cool. And I see one person just asking if the Oasis and Lake update is in September. No, that's going to be looking like October. So the September update will not have all that world update stuff on it. It looks like the team is shooting for the October update to be the big world update that really changes the maps and has its rivers and lakes and oases and canyons and new cliffs and new monuments and new points of interest. So yeah, October is going to be a really huge, amazing update. But September is not too shabby. Also, we got some cool new items coming in, some fixes, some quality of life, some optimization, and some things like that. So it's going to be a cool update for September as well. And again, we'll be back next week, same time, same place, to give you a full rundown of what you can expect to see in the update and let you know exactly when the update does actually hit. But cool. With that, I think we will wind this puppy down. Once again, thank you everyone for tuning in. We are just an independent organization. So the only way we can do this week after week, month after month, year after year is through the support of you all. So again, to everyone who tunes in and watches, to people who give bits and subscribe on Twitch, and our wonderful, beautiful, loyal VIP customers, thank you all so very much for the support. We wouldn't be able to do this without you. Much love to you all. Also, Miss D, Artemis, as always, thank you for being my co-MCs.
As always, you're welcome.
Yep, you're more than welcome.
And a huge shout out to the entire team at Rustafied for all the hard work that they do. Wouldn't be able to do it without you all. And shout out to FacePunch for just, and all the devs there for continuing for years now to keep providing monthly updates and working on this every day, basically, to continue to create this game and make it more awesome by the month. So shout out and much love to FacePunch as well. And with that, we're going to wind this puppy down. I hope you all have a wonderful week and a wonderful wipe. This is Bugs signing off.